Hi, my name is Hulda and welcome back to one of my videos where I like to explore the interconnectedness of physical, mental, social, and intellectual health via the lens of my journey. Today, in particular, I would like to touch on the topic of mindful walking. For me, exercise has always been sort of hit and miss. I like moving, I like activity and being tired. I grew up, playing soccer and just being active. I did gymnastics when I was a kid, things like that. So I was always very active and moving. But later, when I moved to America, I became a lot more sedentary. It was a lot harder to move around. I grew up walking and biking and hiking everywhere. And in America, it was cars all the time. And whereas when I was growing up, activity was always just an innate part of my day, of my everyday. I didn't really have to think about it or plan it. It was just part of life. In America, I have to make a conscious choice to move. And I've never been a fan of working out exactly, getting dressed, going to the gym and, doing specific exercises, and sometimes even going to classes. Now, some classes are fun and I do enjoy them, but I'm definitely a person that prefers sort of working out at home whenever I can. One thing that I always used to think is that a workout wasn't worth doing unless I was giving it 110%, that I was going super hard and doing everything and, pounding the moves and things like that. But the reality is, most of the times I didn't feel like doing that. And so instead of actually just doing whatever exercise my body was calling for or whatever I was leaning towards, if I wasn't giving it 100%, I just didn't do it. And this has accumulated, of course, years and years of inactivity. Now, as I've been sort of getting back into touch with my body and how it wants to move and how it likes to move, it makes me feel better. And I know this, but yet it's still hard to get it to move. So what I did was I make a commitment to myself, and I was going to walk for 1 hour every day for 31 days. I have just accomplished that, so I'm very proud of myself for that. And it also just went to show that I can be consistent. That was one of my big things. It wasn't necessarily about walking fast or exceeding my speed or anything like that. I walked fairly slow the entire time, but it was about showing up for myself every single day, proving that I could do it. I'd done it once before a couple years back, but this was sort of a return to form. Now, for the next 30 days, I am planning on replacing one of those days with weightlifting. And then at the end of the 30 days, I'm going to sort of reassess. Where am I at? How am I feeling? What were the results? Do I want to replace another day with a different form of exercise? Or do I want to add in walking on my weightlifting day? Right now, I'm not leaning towards that. That seems like a little bit too much. But the point is, I'm going slow to build the habits that I need in order to be able to consistently show up for myself. Because beyond anything else, no matter how hard you go, what's the point if you then injure yourself and then you're laid up for a couple of weeks? Consistency is key in everything. And that's what I'm slowly finding with exercise. And one of the ways that I wanted to show up for myself is specifically with mindful walking. Now, sometimes when I walk, a lot of the times it's inside, just to kind of depending on weather, and I'll throw in a show or a video and I'll watch that while I'm walking. Nothing wrong with that. By all means, if that helps you walk, that's what helped me. Go forth and be great. But what I actually like even more than that is walking outside. And usually when I do that, I like walking in silence and just sort of listen to the wind or listen to animals, if there's a squirrel running up a tree or a deer walking around, and just be present. Sometimes it's completely with an empty mind. Sometimes it's thinking about something specific. And sometimes I do throw on an audiobook or I throw on some music. It just depends on kind of what I'm feeling. What I've realized is that when I started introducing a little bit of outside walking, it started becoming a lot more mindful. It wasn't so much a chore of having to do it, having to go to the treadmill and showing up like that, but rather a choice that I was excited about making. Now, let's get into how to actually start this practice. because if you're not used to walking, it can be intimidating. It was intimidating for me. And what I did, so I have an Oura ring, so it tracks my steps. So if maybe you have a Fitbit, or maybe just use your phone, track your steps. I went back, since I already had the data, and I listed out my steps for 2 months, and I averaged them out, and I realized how little I was moving. I had that average, and then I wanted to test it out with the 60 minutes of walking plus, whatever natural walking I would do on any given day. And my average jumped up so much, and that made me super happy. However, just for starters, if you have something like a Fitbit or a phone, go back, see a month or two maybe of what steps you're doing, average them out, and start from there. Your goal then for the following month or the following 30 days is simply to try to beat that average. Everyone will have high and low days. That's natural. The point is to start pushing your average a little bit higher. Now that I have my 2 months of original walking and then 1 month of actual 60 minutes of walking every day, I have 2 different averages. So now my goal will be for the next 30 days to beat my average for my first 30 days, ideally, so that I can sort of keep on track and be increasing it. And this is sort of an easy way to ease into not just walking, but also into tracking, if that's something that you want to do. The focus of mindful walking isn't for the competition. And I only suggest tracking if that's something that helps keep you motivated. If shooting for a goal, a specific goal, is something that will help you sort of be more present and be more willing to actually engage in the mindful walking. And again, sometimes it's not going to be mindful. Sometimes you'll just throw on a show just to do it and get it over with. And that's perfectly fine. In order to do mindful walking, I would recommend, number 1, track your steps. Start either now or look into the past and average them out. In averaging them out, step 2, find your baseline. This is the number that you want to concentrate on, not the daily totals themselves. Number 3, gradually increase that average by increasing your steps every day. Start with 100 steps, maybe 200 steps, maybe 500 steps. It depends on the point that you're starting from. Don't be discouraged if all you can do is 50 steps more each of the days and your average is going up slowly. That's perfectly fine. It's not a competition. You're only working on becoming a better version of yourself, which is actually number 4. Focus on the mindfulness, on the walking, on the consistency. It's not a competition. It's not a competition even against yourself. And finally, step 5, use the time to reflect. This is a time that you take for yourself, no matter how busy or what else is going on in your life. This is an hour that you will take to yourself. Reflect. Don't just fill your brain with a to-do list or anything like that. Use it to reflect. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What dreams are you working towards? What dreams do you want to resurrect? What dreams may have served their purpose? Where do you want to go in a month? What's upcoming that you're looking forward to? What's something you would like to look forward to? It doesn't have to be deep reflection every time, but use this time to focus inward and see what you want, where you want to go. Because then the rest will sort of fall into place. The rest of your life, all the external things, the noises and the people, the voices, everything has a way of drowning out our individual self. But with this walking, not only are you increasing your physical health, creating consistency and showing up for yourself, but you're also able to slowly get in touch with who you are and who you want to be. And that's really the entire point of a mindful walk. Not just to get ahead, not just to get the steps, but to actually use the time for reflection. Now, that's all I have for today. I would love it if you would stick around, hit subscribe, hit like. Have you ever tried mindful walking before? How do you want to show up for yourself right now? Leave it in the comments below, and I'd love to see what discussion we can create from that. But for now, I will go ahead and say goodbye, and I'll see you again soon.